Thank you, everybody, so much. Those who know, I have a general policy that I don't like to talk about a social issue, a social action issue, a problem in society, unless there's something you can do, because it leaves people feeling helpless. And so I've spoken about that. I've spoken about things where we could take an action, and I've given out handouts, etc., different actions, and today is no different. Helping Sanctum House is what we can do to help with human trafficking, and then also the reality that Paige said to me, I already knew, but Paige said, there is not a zip code, not an area code in the United States that doesn't have human trafficking. Somebody said to me, are you, Rabbi, not in West Bloomfield? I said, yes. 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 It's here. Purim is coming in a few weeks, and I want to share with you something I uncovered in some academic research. We think the Purim story is completely ironic, a spoof, it's a joke, and there are lots of jokes and extreme numbers taken to absurdity. But there's a part that's often skipped over that is exactly what we're talking about today, and I want to use that as a framing, that has a wonderful line that says that the king, Ahasuerus, his wife wouldn't dance for him, so he got rid of her. He was lonely, and he was a buffoon. He didn't know what to do, and so his servant said, let all the young virgins of the land be brought for you to try, and among them you will be sure to find somebody who fits your needs. And that's what they did. They rounded them up. It sounds a little far-fetched until I read the following from a book called Empire of the Mind. The Shah Sultan Hussein, the Shah of Iran from 1694 to 1722, was a mild, well-tempered, well-meaning man. He had no streak of cruelty in his character and no record of having ordered any executions over the period of his reign. His sequestered upbringing and indolent nature meant that he disliked being disturbed or bothered with problems. The indications are that he was what we would call institutionalized, and as a result was lacking in confidence with the world outside the palace or with what people he did not know. He enjoyed wine and eating, sounds like Ahasuerus, but otherwise was a pious and humane man, putting his energies into a new complex of gardens and pavilions in the southwest of Isfahan. His courtiers and advisors encouraged him to leave state business to them. They would take care of it. And so he pursued his interests in the gardens and his other primary interest in sex. His emissaries collected pretty girls from all his domains, from any group or religion except the Jews, and brought them to Isfahan and delivered them into the Shah's harem for his enjoyment. After a time, if they became pregnant, they would be taken away again, well furnished with money and presents. Some were married off to prominent nobles, so that when the male children were born, they would become heirs of those nobles. Purim, Queen Esther, that every little girl wants to dress up as, has another side. And so I'm going to invite the president of our sisterhood to introduce our speaker and to realize that it's hard to hear. It's hard to realize. But the longer we bury our heads in the sand, the worse it's going to get.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. I'm delighted to be here this morning as we extend a warm welcome to a truly inspirational individual, Paige. Her journey and accomplishments like those of Vashti and Queen Esther and others in Shushan exemplify the power and resilience of the human spirit. As the first survivor graduate and now a member of the board of Sanctum House, she is a beacon of hope and strength for many. So today we will be learning about her experiences and the support she received from Sanctum House. It is not one just of survival, but of transformation and advocacy, showing us that with compassion and assistance, foundations for new beginnings can be built. As Kevin mentioned, we've taken on an initiative through the hard work of Bonnie Kowalski and Zippy Golenberg to provide supplies to Sanctum House during the month of March. There's been information lots of places, including outside, about how you can participate, and you can already see some of the items that we've received for Sanctum House in the lobby. This is a testament to our shared values and commitment to making a difference in the lives of those who are in need. So during Kiddush, you can ask me or Sippy or Bonnie how you can help. And also today, Paige is joined by Edie Franklin, who's been involved and in fact helped found Sanctum House. She's here. She spoke to us last year. So please join me in welcoming Paige to our congregation. Paige, we're really eager to hear from you and are grateful to learn from you.
Good morning. My name is Paige, and I'm a survivor, and I'm also a recovering addict. Actually, this month I'll have 7 years in recovery. Thank you. I think it's real important that I start off with thanking for such a warm welcome to your congregation. I think it's really important that I thank Edie Franklin for saving my life, for having for coming up with Sanctum House, the place that literally saved my life. I also think it's really important now that I am a survivor that I try to make many people as I possibly can aware of this horrific crime, And a lot of people don't know about it, and it's my job to make as many people I can aware, or they think it doesn't happen here. They think, when you think of human trafficking, you think of something that happens from another country. But in fact, it happens right here, and it possibly could be happening right next door to you. Excuse me. I'm not gonna get real graphic with my experience, but I am gonna touch bases with it. I think what's more important is the recovery, my recovery part. I was pretty much born into a dysfunctional, very dysfunctional family. I was taken away from my mother at a very young age, 4 to be exact. I watched her murder her, as we call him, sugar daddy. And I was put with my father and my stepmother. And by age 7, I was taken away from them and put into foster care. And went through the foster care, was a ward of the state, went through foster care. Many homes in Michigan, ended up in Pennsylvania, was put into went to several foster homes there, but the last foster home that I was in, I was brutally raped by my foster father and tried to tell the protective service worker, and they didn't believe me, so another girl, me and her ran away and went with her family, and her family sent me off on a bus to New York, and my first trafficker was waiting at a bus station for me. And I was there, I was 9 years old. I was there until I was 12 and was sold off to my second trafficker, which was a totally different experience than the first one. And my trafficker reminded me daily that I was his property, he bought me, and I was his. By 16, I found my biological mother, and I came back to Michigan. And
this woman was sold into trafficking at age 9. And she's sorry. What do you need?
which was my mother had her own trauma. So dealing with my trauma and my mother's trauma, it wasn't a very good match. By the age 19, I started using drugs very heavily. Just recently realizing that I was trafficked again. I spent all my 30s in prison for a crime that was probably traffic related. Was in and out of different facilities, treatment centers, lost my children to the system, just the trauma repeating itself over and over and over again. By the age 52, I OD'd on drugs, first time I've ever OD'd. And when I left the hospital, I realized that when I went into treatment that I needed to do something different. It was a revolving door for me, and I realized that if I didn't work on the trauma that kept taking me back out there to the streets, because not only was I addicted to the drugs, I was addicted to the streets, I was addicted to the whole lifestyle. And once I realized that I needed to change every area of my life, I found Sanctum House. And I was very apprehensive about going because it was a brand new program. I was very apprehensive to go because it was a 2-year program. And I just didn't think I was ready to dedicate 2 years to myself. When I got to Sanctum House, I was broken. I was beat down. I was desperate. I was hopeless. I was fearful. I was angry. I didn't trust anybody. I hated who I was. I hated who I had become. I hated everything about myself. And the first person I met was Edie. And she's just a happy, joyous, and free type of person. And I made a promise to her that I was going to graduate the program one way or another. When I got to the program, you know, the assistance that the things that they do to help us in our process, you know, we get medical care. Some of us never had medical care before. Some of us, you know, we get eye care, dental care, psychological care, whatever care that was necessary for us to grow in the program. They had groups of like how to have healthy relationships. Another survivor would come in and share her experience and her strengths and her hopes. We had people that would come in and teach us how to cook, teach us how to clean, because a lot of us don't know that when we get there. We had people that came in. We had volunteers, and I've said this, and I'll say it to my last breath. The volunteers made the biggest impact on my life because it was so hard for me to believe that these people were volunteering their time to be with me. I realized that I needed to change my thinking process, so I found things like gardening and sweeping the back porch 100 times a day. Just to try to change that process of the thinking that I was so accustomed to. They would provide Narcotics Anonymous meetings, they would provide church services, they would provide whatever we needed, they provided for us. And it was so hard for me to comprehend that people actually cared about me. It took me a good year in the program to really get acclimated into the program to realize that I was worth changing. I was worth people loving. I was worth, and I was a person that deserved to be loved by other people and to be loved to love myself. And it took me a long time to start trusting somebody, to believe in somebody. And Sanctum House provided that for me. Today, I've been I graduated, I think, 2020, the first graduate. I have an amazing life today. a life that if you asked me 7 years ago to write a list of what I thought my life would be 7 years from then, I'd have been cheating myself. It's important that you know that this crime, don't care who you are, it's faceless. It don't care, as the rabbi said, it don't care what area code you come from, it don't care about what zip code you come from, it don't care what your religious preference is, it don't care what you look like, it don't care anything. The only thing it cares about is making profit off you. And when I think about where we've come and making people aware of this crime, it blows my mind, because when I think about when I was being trafficked, they called it pandering, white slavery. Now it's got a name, and everybody's talking about it. And the reality of it is we'll never get rid of it, but we will make it harder for them. You know, this trafficking has progressed. It's in social media. You know, you have to worry about your children now, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. You know, it's important that we keep an eye on what our children are doing on these apps. You know, it's not a crime that's snatched. You know, they snatch you off the street, but let's not be confused. It can happen. I'm not here to scare you. I'm not here to make you feel like because you don't know what to do, you won't do nothing. But a prayer goes a long way. A prayer goes a long way. Or even simply talk to Edie, get involved. It's very small things that you can get involved with. Like you are doing now, you're giving Sanctum House donations. All that is important, all that adds up. Or even telling your neighbor about it, or trying to make as many people aware of this as you possibly can. When you look at somebody that's standing on the street that might be selling herself, don't look down on her. Know that she has a backstory. When you see a child or you see something that might not look comfortable to you, tell somebody. You know, it happens in the airports, it happens in the train stations, it happens in the grocery store, it happens when you see something that don't look right and you feel in your heart that's not right. Do something. I'm not telling you to go up and do anything, but what I am telling you is do something. Call somebody, call the police. It's important to get more women like me to survive so we can get it out there. You know, we've got a really good, there's about 6 of us that have graduated now. And the whole purpose is for Sanctum House to become Survivor Ran. And I'm on the board, you know. I'm an advocate. I'm a mentor. I own my own business. I do private home health care, and my patients have helped me through my journey. I have a beautiful home in Novi. And when I walked into the program, I had the clothes on my back. The clothes on my back. So thank you. I hope I gave you enough information to know that human trafficking is very real. I am standing before you and telling you that I am a survivor, and that we would love for everybody to be involved with us one way or another, whether it's donating, just sitting here listening to me. I appreciate every single one of you for wanting to hear this, because it's hard to hear something like this. It's very hard. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There are resources out there to let us know what to look for. The signs. I haven't ever seen them in male bathrooms, but I've been told in airports and other public places that they're definitely in female bathrooms in the stalls that say, you know, if you need help, call. But everywhere, wherever you live, it's there. And sometimes, if we open our eyes, we can see it. Sometimes we just can't. But as I said, I don't like to give things that we can't take action because it makes us feel hopeless. And there are things we can do. We can open our eyes, we can be aware, and we can donate to places like Sanctum House, volunteer, and offer, because we can make a difference. As Paige said, and as I said, Lo alecha chamlacha ligmor. It's not up to us to finish the task. We can't finish the task. It's an impossible task to finish. But the second part of the sentence, Velo ata ben horin lihivatel mimena, but you're not free to say, well, I can't finish it, so I'm not even going to start it. You're not free. Every person has that obligation to say, you know what? I can do something. I can buy chocolate that is certified, which is another form of human trafficking. If you buy slavery, if you buy chocolate not certified, there are children slaves, whether it's 50%, 60%, 70%, it used to be 70%, I don't know the numbers now, of the chocolate that we eat is produced, or harvested, I should say, by children slaves. There are things we can do all around. If we truly believe that every human is created in the image of God, which I do, every human, then we have an obligation that when somebody is trying to crush out that image, crush out that flame, that soul that exists in that person, we can help protect that flame. That's that soul. Each one of us. So let's do that. And then, let's daven Musaf.